tell us a little bit about how Pearl got started.
It's a strange story because we were heading to New Zealand to make X,
Mhm.
and we were making it in New Zealand because it was the peak of the pandemic, and New Zealand was a safe place to make movies. And we had spent all this effort organizing a crew there, bringing in a crew, getting visas, and we were building a barn and a bunkhouse and really kind of redesigning the layout of a home in Wanganui, New Zealand. And that's a lot of effort and a lot of money and a lot of time. And it was a very uncertain time when it was amazing. We were fortunate enough to even be able to make a movie, and it wasn't obvious we'd ever be able to do it again. So for me, I felt like we'd gone to New Zealand, we put all this effort in. Could we use this stuff to make anything else with it rather than just make a movie, tear it down, and go home and wonder about our future? So I felt like we were so fortunate to have the opportunity to be there that we should try to make the most of it. And so then I was trying to think of, well, how would we do that? And I didn't want to make a sequel where just more people went to the farm and died. That didn't sound very interesting.
Mhm.
And I had been spending a lot of time talking to Mia Goth about the character of Pearl because she was playing Maxine and Pearl in X. And I wanted to make sure that I knew who Pearl was, because even though we catch up with her very late in life in X and she's the villain in that movie, if Mia was to ever ask, well, why is she this or why is she that? I didn't want to not have an answer. So I had a backstory idea for Pearl already. And we started talking about it. And that occurred to me that like that actually could be the movie where we could, cannibalize everything we're doing and amortize all these costs. And we could make a second movie about young Pearl because she's the villain in the first movie, but she could be the star of another movie. And A24 was intrigued by that. And then off I went to New Zealand, and I had 2 weeks in mandatory quarantine. That's a long time to be stuck in a room. And I called Mia and I said, like, if we come up with a second movie and it's good and A24 was willing to make it, would you stick around and be in a second movie? She said yes. And so I said, well, let's collaborate on it and let's do it together because you are Pearl, so there's no Pearl without you.
Mhm.
And we would FaceTime while I was in that hotel room and cranked out a script. And when we got out of the hotel room, I sent it to A24 and they liked it. And they were like, give us a minute to decide. And so we started prepping X and getting everything ready. And as we prepped X, I showed them how we could do Pearl and how it would be different, and how if we got the okay now, we could do it very inexpensively because we would be able to get ahead of everything. They really liked the script, and they in an amazing moment, and total credit to them, they bet on the movie and they greenlit Pearl before we even shot X. And so we were
Wow.
able to finish prepping X and make X with the knowledge we were going to make Pearl. And then we
Mhm.
had 3 weeks in between the two movies to like completely retrofit the location. But it was a very, it was almost like making one big movie. And I'm incredibly fortunate that's how it worked out. And it's led to now, a movie we had totally secret for a year, and then to be able to announce it the way we did and do the same thing now with Maxine has been really fun.
How did you manage to keep it a secret all that time?
I don't know. I mean, in 2022, it's a really legit question because I'm not sure, but I think I mean, the short answer is we didn't tell anybody. Unless you worked on the movie, you don't know nothing. And that was how we were very adamant about don't put it on IMDb and no announcements and just keep it a secret.
At what point did you know that Mia Goth would be a good collaborator, not just as far as collaborating on the character of Pearl, but with the script and as a producer and everything?
I didn't know.
Mm.
I had been having a lot of really good conversations with her, and like I said, I felt like if we were going to make a story about Pearl and she was going to play Pearl in X, it's not like there'd be another actor to do it with. It was like if she had said no, I can't spend 3 more months in New Zealand, I would have just given up, because
Mhm.
it was going to be her movie, and I felt like to start doing that and to know her at the time that I did and have been working on this character with her, it didn't make sense to not do it that way. So I didn't know if she would be helpful, not helpful. I didn't know. I just thought like it was the right thing to do is to say, well, from conception, let's do this together. And then she
Mhm.
ended up being really great. I mean, I'm not shocked. We obviously got along very well and she had great ideas. So it was like I wasn't shocked. I wouldn't have done it if I thought, oh, this could be really bad. But I just, it just seemed like she's Pearl, so she needs to be involved in the Pearl movie
Mhm.
from the conception.
What did you have any contingency plan if she hadn't been a good collaborator?
Well, we wouldn't have made the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Eh,
mean, there was no shortage of reasons to not make the movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's so unbelievably rare that it actually happened. So, which is amazing. But there was a many moments where it could have not happened, and I suppose, yes, if it had been some sort of disaster, that would have been one of them, but, I mean, I didn't ever think it would be that, but I also just knew, like, we wanted to do it so bad that we would get it done, and we would make it to the quality we needed to, because we weren't doing it just to do it. We really wanted to make it, like, a great movie out of it.
Can you talk about some of the long shots that you had with Mia Goth, especially like the final her final monologue with Mitzi, and also the end credits where she's just got that huge, almost demonic smile across her face, and she's holding it and it looks like she's almost in pain. Can you just talk about working with her through those long shots?
Well, the end credits, the day that we filmed that, that was not necessarily going to be a 3-minute take of that. Um, it was just supposed to be that she says the line, and I knew it was gonna be like she would smile and it was gonna freeze frame and say the end, just like how in the beginning it freeze frames when she feeds the goose to the alligator and it says Pearl. And that was the plan. And then when
Mhm.
we set up to film it, I don't know, we'd made a much of the movie at that point, and I was kind of used to her performance, and I had a random idea where I was like, "Hey, when we do this, if you could smile and I want to freeze frame," I was like, "But I'm curious what would happen if we just like organically freeze framed, like if you just tried to hold it." And she was like, "Okay," and I was like, "And just see how long you can hold the smile, and just if you can't hold it anymore, just stop and whatever. But let's just do it because I can always freeze frame anywhere in there. But let's see what happens." And so we set up, we did that. She smiled. That's what happened for 3 minutes. I said cut, and I was like, "That's amazing. That's going to be the end credits of the movie." And we only did it that one time
Wow.
because it was
So
just like I watched it the same way anyone that sees the movie. I had that experience watching it because she didn't know she was doing that. I didn't know she was going to do that. It just happened, and I was like, "This is great."
it was unbelievable, and I mean, just in the theater last night, people were just laughing and wincing, and it was crazy.
Yeah, it's a wild moment. So it ended up being one of those kind of very fortuitous things that came together.
Yeah. The movie, it's more of an ode to classic cinema than it is really an out and out horror film. Do you worry that it will drive away horror fans?
I mean, I don't know if it's going to drive anyone away. I mean, if you're coming to the movie for an enormous body count at all times, like, yeah, you're gonna get a different kind of movie than that. But I think it delivers in its own way. And I think that, for anyone who it's not for, there's another person that it is for, and so
Yeah.
perhaps people who may not see X because they think, whoa, porn horror, that's just slasher, that's too much, I can't deal with that. Maybe this is a movie that they can actually, really get behind and appreciate because it is not, what they're afraid of.
And, Pearl was quite a sympathetic character. She was in X, and she's even more so in her own movie. Was that always the plan, or was that kind of something that sprung up organically?
It was the plan. I mean, most of that's credit to Mia, her performance, but I think even yeah, we never really wanted to portray we wanted to be in her perspective in the movie, so we wanted to portray her, like, honestly and genuinely, and, there's a point in the movie when she goes to a dance audition and virtually everybody's rooting for her despite the many horrible things she's done in the movie, and that is a testament to her performance, and it's a testament to, like, just treating the character as a relatable person despite the demented and awful things she's doing. You can't really vouch for it, but you can understand it, and that was always the goal, is to put you in her shoes.
So now you've got Maxine coming out. Was this always planned as a trilogy?
Well, it wasn't really planned as anything, and then it
Okay.
was planned as a movie called X, and then once Pearl got involved, I did tell A24 about the idea for Maxine once I had that idea because I started to have the idea for all 3 when I had Pearl, and they liked the idea for Maxine, and they were like, "We'd be interested in making that movie," and I was like, "Well, we have to go back before we can go forward because, the Maxine as a sequel to X is fine. Maxine is part 3 of 3 different movie-inspired stories is better." And so,
Mhm.
if we had not made Pearl and just I don't know that I would have made Maxine because just making Maxine like, the vibe of Maxine is very different than X, just like Pearl is very different from X, and it would have perhaps been strange to kinda carry forward and have it segue into something unexpected, whereas now that it's part of this trilogy, it will make more sense what that idea is.
Okay. What is the vibe of Maxine then?
I'm not going to tell you. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been managed to keep this one movie a secret for a year, this other one for 6 months, I think I'm just going to keep going with, we'll show up with the movie when we do, and know the less you know, the better.
Do you have an idea of when it will be released?
Yes,
Okay. You're gonna keep that a secret too?
yes.
Alright. Okay. Um, can you talk a little bit about what it was like scoring with the sweeping orchestra?
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Bates, who did X with Chelsea Wolfe, we had a great experience. We had done The Sacrament together before, and him and Chelsea did an amazing job on X. And Tyler was down to do 2 movies. I think he and maybe everyone expected it would be not the same as X, but, in the ballpark. And X is a very
Mhm.
stripped down, vocal driven kind of thing. And then as Pearl came together, I was like, I know you signed on to do 2 with us, but here's the thing. We're gonna need to do like a giant orchestra for it. And that's so much more work. And the thing is, with Tyler, he's the hardest working person I know. And Tyler
Mhm.
also really believes in whatever he's working on. He believes in it to the extent of like he's doing it because he wants to do it. And I remember telling him, and he was like, okay. And then we just got to work. And then he brought in Tim Williams to do it with him because we had to do that whole score in 2 months, from writing
Wow.
it to recording it to mixing it. And it was a live orchestra, 60-piece orchestra. And so it's really remarkable that they were able to do that. I mean, it's such a character in the movie, and it's so
Mhm.
unlike anything that's out now. And it really, contextualizes the movie in this sort of like cinematic way. So when you go and watch this movie, I mean, movies don't have 85 minutes of music in them anymore, and certainly not orchestral music like that. So it was a real treat to be able to do it.
Was this the first time you'd ever worked with a score like that, an orchestral score?
At that scale, yes, I have done live string sections before and live drums
Mhm.
and horns and things like that, but I've done them sort of in small chunks and put them together. This was a full 65 piece, like everyone in the room kind of thing.
It was amazing.
Yeah, they
Uh,
did an amazing job.
yeah. Okay, I think that's all I've got for you.
Yep.
But thank you. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to Maxine.
Thank you so
Um,
much. I'll get back to
and
work.
yes, please do. And enjoy your string cheese.
It's already gone, but I'm gonna
Okay.
still have some more. So thank you.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, bye bye.